Hi everyone, I'm Keyerra Robinson and I am currently a student at GCU University. My current class is UNV 108 with Dr. McCabe as my professor. And today I am so excited to talk about dispositions with you guys and how I use them and how to apply them in the future with my students. So thank you guys so much for looking at my video and I hope you enjoy. Just an introduction of what the purpose is about. This video is to discuss certain depositions and the qualities that will help me to be the best teacher that I can be, ensuring that my future students have the best learning environment and education that I can give them, so that way they can take that and use it in their adulthood as well as their future education. And I want to just make sure that my students have a fun, safe, and loving environment. So I feel as though the depositions that we're discussing will be able to ensure that. So thank you guys so much again, and we will get started with question number one. So question number one is, what depositions do you possess that you think will make you a successful teacher? So the first quality that I feel that will make a successful teacher is professional conduct. Professional conduct is extremely important, not only in your work environment, but just wherever you go. You want to make sure that you stay positive, that you carry yourself in the appropriate manner. You just never know who's watching you. You never know what someone can use against you. So you always want to stay professional and you always want to use professional conduct. I never want to embarrass myself in public or, as I mentioned, have someone use that against me. That's why I strongly believe and uphold to that disposition. I am a role model, and I also want my current students and my future students to view me as their role model. So I just have to make sure that I carry myself accordingly and that I act professional in class and outside of class. You never know who you may run into. You may run into parents, you may run into employees or employers, and you just want to make sure that you act the same as if you were at work or just out in public. That's very important. Another quality or trait I feel like you should have is honesty. I love the saying, all you have is your word, or all that I have is my word. And if someone loses trust in you or trust in your word, then it'll kind of be hard to navigate through that. You always want people to be able to trust you, and you always want to portray honesty and give off honesty as well. And as I mentioned before, you have little ones that look up to you. They look at what you do. They look at everything that you do and everything that you say they hear. Excuse me. So you just want to make sure that you're honest in everything. And that is also to protect you as well in your work field and outside of work. It's important to remain honest. At times, especially in the teaching environment, and I am so glad that I have that trait. Working with children and other educators requires honesty. Honesty is a reflection of me, and I want to make sure that I always display that. And my third and final deposition that I would like to share with you guys is compassion. In order to be a teacher, you have to have compassion, and you have to have compassion for others. You have to be able to talk to that student in a respectful manner, and you just have to always just make sure that you use proper word choice when you talk to children as well as adults. You never know what someone is going through outside of school and outside of work. So you just have to have compassion. I feel like that's a necessary trait for all teachers, not just me, but for all teachers in general. For teaching and for students, you just never know, as I said, what people are dealing with outside of school and work. You never know what they're going through. So just have compassion and love on your kids, love on your students appropriately, of course, but just give off compassion, give off kindness. Just show them that they are loved and that they can come to you for any and everything. So you have to be compassionate. You have to love what you do in order to have compassion for your students and for your the educators that are around you. And question number 2 that I will be talking about is, and I will read it on my paper. It says, what depositions do you need to work on before you enter the classroom as a first time teacher or your first year in teaching? So I actually put advocacy. So there are many depositions that I feel that I already have, and there are some that I know I will need to work on in the future. So for example, I decided to choose advocacy, and it's very important to try and make a positive change in your classroom, outside of your classroom, and in your community. With that being said, I know I will need to be more hands-on, not only in my classroom, but outside of my classroom as well. So that way people can get a chance to know who I am, not just as a teacher, but outside of me teaching. I want to make sure I make a positive influence on my children if we're doing activities outside of school, like fundraisers or different seasonal activities. I want to make sure that I get my name out there as far as being the best teacher that I can be for my students, and I want people to be able to see that. And in order for them to see that, I have to do things that are outside of the classroom. So I decided to choose advocacy for that reason. And our last question is question number 3. And question number 3 is, what qualities should professional educators display? I honestly feel like educators should display many qualities, because that shows you what type of person you are, as well as what type of teacher you are. And I feel like professional educators should always display kindness to their students, as well as being patient and very caring. Students eventually look up to us as educators, and we want to make sure that we give them the correct tools to be able to do so. So being kind to your students is very important. Being caring and loving to your students is very important, because we're looking out for other parents and other people's children. You know, they're in our care. So we need to make sure we as teachers provide them a safe environment, a loving environment. We want to make sure that we give them the right tools that they can use in the future. They remember things from us. They remember positive things from us, and they remember negative things. And I want to make sure they soak in all the positive things that I've given them and use that in their future. And in order for them to remember those things, you have to show love and you have to show compassion. You have to show kindness, because that's what children, especially at young ages, that's what they need. So I'll be teaching either kindergarten or first grade. I haven't decided which one yet. But at those very tender young ages, they remember, you know, you'll be surprised what they remember, but they remember negative things, they remember positive things. And I want to make sure, you know, my future students remember all the positivity that I've given them, so that way, you know, in the future they can be like, you know, Miss Key, you know, told me this and she taught me that, and she was a great teacher. So I just want my students to be able to say that I was kind to them and that I was loving to them. Well, that's the end of my video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy your evening. Thank you. Bye.